Hello, readers and writers. I am Anthony L. Manna, and I'm also known as Professor Grandpa Tonio, the book guy and the writing guy. Welcome to the Folklore Treasury, where very old stories called folktales and fairy tales never grow old because they are told, remembered, and read and told and remembered over and over and over again. Today, I'm excited about sharing a story with you from a collection of these old tales I told, retold, and reimagined with my friend Sula Mitakidu in a book we titled Folktales from Greece, A Treasury of Delights by Anthony L. Manna and Sula Mitakidu, with photographs by Yorgos Katsangelos and drawings from ancient designs by Anastasia Valvinadu. The title of today's story is MIRSINA. It's the name of one of the three sisters. Two of them are very mean. As I read the story, please think about the sun. How does the sun become an important story character? Is that possible? And what about the 12 months? How do the months become important characters? Months? How can months be a character in a story? Listen with all your attention, and maybe you'll find elements in MIRSINA that make you think of Snow White. Remember Snow White? Remember, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest, the most beautiful of all? I bet you do. Here's MIRSINA. One time, in a time, there were three sisters who had neither father nor mother. Of course, they were orphans. One day they decided to find out which of the three was the most beautiful. As the day drew to a close, they came to a place bathed by the sun, stood one next to the other, and asked, "Sun, sun, oh sun, which of us is the most beautiful?" "The first is good," the sun replied. "The second is good. But MIRSINA, the youngest, is the best." When the two older sisters heard this, they were stunned. The next day, the two older sisters put on their finest clothes and jewels, but to MIRSINA they gave the ugliest and the dirtiest dress they could find. Again, the three stood before the setting sun and asked, "Sun, sun, sun, oh my sun, which of us is the most beautiful?" Again the sun replied, "The first is good, the second is good, but MIRSINA, the youngest, she is the best." When MIRSINA's sisters heard this, they were poisoned with jealousy and returned home with bitterness in their hearts. On the third day, they asked again, and again the sun gave the same answer. At this, the sisters' hearts were so filled with jealousy that they plotted to destroy MIRSINA. But how? How could they do this? They told MIRSINA that it was time to honor their dead mother with a memorial, for that was the custom. That same night, they prepared the traditional offering of prospero, the bread blessed by the priest, and koliva, the sweet mixture of wheat berries, walnuts, and raisins that pleases the souls of the dead, so they say. Early the next morning, they set off. On and on and on they went into the depth of the woods until they reached their mother's grave. Once there, the oldest sister said, "Give me the shovel so that we can plant some flowers. The shovel, please." "Ah, stupid me," the second sister cried. "I forgot to bring the shovel. What will we do now?" "One of us will have to go and fetch it, of course," the oldest sister said. But as none of them was willing to go alone, the oldest sister told MIRSINA to wait at their mother's grave and guard the offerings, while the other two went to get the shovel. MIRSINA waited and waited. When the sun set and it grew dark, MIRSINA knew that her sisters would not come back. No, they would not come back. At that, she began to cry. Her crying woke the trees. "Don't cry, my girl," a nearby tree told MIRSINA. "There is nothing to fear. Just do as I say. Roll your bread down the side of the mountain. And wherever it stops, go to it. Go to it." This MIRSINA did, but as soon as she reached the bread, she fell into a deep pit, and there she found a house. Now, in this house, there lived 12 brothers, who were the 12 months. All day long, they wandered the wide world over, and only late at night did they return home. When MIRSINA came to their house, none of the month was there. Because MIRSINA did not like to be idle, she cleaned the house, and growing hungry, she cooked a meal. She then set the table, ate a little, and hid herself away. Soon the months returned, and what did they find when they entered their house? The place sparkled, the table was set, and a meal had been made ready for them. "Who did this for us?" the month wondered. "Don't be afraid, whoever you are," they cried. "For if you are a boy, you'll be our brother, and if you are a girl, you'll be our sister." When no one answered, they sat down to eat, but wondered the whole time. Then they slept. Early the next morning, when the months had left, MIRSINA slipped out of her hideaway and once again took care of the house. And what a delicious pie she made! When it grew dark, she again set the table, ate some of the pie, and went off to hide. When the months returned, they once again found everything ready, but still did not know what to make of it. "Who is it that does all this for us?" they cried. Come out now, don't be afraid." When no one appeared, the youngest brother came up with a plan. He took the others aside and whispered to them, "I will not go with you tomorrow. Instead, I will stay behind to see who comes and does these things for us." At daybreak, the months did as they had planned. When the older brothers left, the youngest brother hid behind the door and waited. When MIRSINA came out from her hiding place, the youngest month appeared before her. "So it is you, my girl. Why were you so afraid? You can now be the sister we have searched for in the sky, only to find her here on earth." Then MIRSINA took heart and told him how her sisters had left her and how she had found herself in their house. When the other months returned late at night and met MIRSINA, they couldn't believe their luck. Indeed, the months grew to love their little sister. You should see the gifts they brought MIRSINA whenever they returned home. Gold earrings, a gold dress with the sky and the stars on it, more dresses with the earth, the grass, and the sea with its fish embroidered on them. One would think she lived in a fairy tale. Like this, MIRSINA lived with the months. Soon, word got out to MIRSINA's sisters. Well, how did that happen? Magic, maybe? When they heard that their sister lived and thrived, they were filled once again with hatred. The two sisters made a cake, mixed poison in it, and went to find MIRSINA. They waited for the months to leave before they knocked on the door. "Who is it?" "Your sisters who desperately looked for you in the woods," they replied. MIRSINA opened the door and embraced them. "What happened to you that day, MIRSINA?" the oldest sister asked. "We looked for you here and there, but nothing," said the second sister. "Our poor little sister, we thought she must have found herself alone, and scared as she was, she must have gone off to one village or another. When we heard that you were here, we raced like the wind to find you. And it pleases us to see that all is well with you, little sister," said the oldest sister. "I am fine. What can I say?" MIRSINA said. "Be sure to take good care not to lose all this," the second sister said, "for we can see they love you here." "We must go now," MIRSINA said, the oldest sister, "but we will come and visit you often." As they started to leave, the second sister turned to MIRSINA and said, "Stupid, stupid, stupid us. We almost forgot to give you this cake we made to honor our dead mother's memory." And with that they left. Later that day, MIRSINA was about to eat a piece of the cake, and when her little dog jumped on her lap and begged for it, as soon as she fed him some of the cake, the poor dog fell dead. With that, MIRSINA realized that the cake was poisoned and threw it into the fire. When MIRSINA's sisters learned that their plan had failed, and how did they learn that it had failed? Magic again, maybe? Who knows? They returned to her house with yet another scheme, but this time MIRSINA refused to open the door. Still they persisted, calling to her, "We have brought you a ring that belonged to our mother. On her deathbed she said, 'I will surely put a curse on the two of you if you do not give this ring to MIRSINA when she comes of age. Open the door and take the ring, MIRSINA.' With her mother's wish weighing on her, what could MIRSINA do but take the ring? The minute she slipped it onto her finger, she fell to the floor. That night, when the months returned and found MIRSINA lying still on the floor, their crying shook the nearby mountains. They dressed MIRSINA in the gold gown with the sky and the stars embroidered on it, placed her in a gold trunk, and kept her at home. Some time later, a prince happened to pass by the month's house. He needed a place to stay for the night, so the months offered him their best room, of course, and that is how he happened to see the gold trunk. And that, readers and writers, is where I will end the tale today and return soon to find out what happened to the prince. What did he do? What did he do with that gold trunk? Stay tuned. I will soon return with the rest of MIRSINA.